GM, back at it again. It's Wednesday, July 9th, a day before an integration. And I was like, let's get the show again. We got to find out exactly what's happening with GUNZ platform. What does it mean? Why GUNZ platform here is positioning itself to be the next thing in Web3 gaming, to be able to be the catalyst that we've all been looking for. And no further ado, I have my great friends here, Piers from Delphi, Vlad, co-founder of Gunzilla Games. I always like to kick it off with icebreakers. It's my favorite way to start a show. Vlad, give me one piece of advice that you think you should be sharing with any Web3 entrepreneur coming into on day one in Web3.
I think you need to be always prepared for continuously changing environments of our industry and be always ready to adapt. Then you will succeed.
That is the alpha there. Piers, what's one piece of advice growing up that you use today still, man?
Well, there was one thing that I always like to cite, which is when I was entertaining dropping out of my university studies, and I've been spending a lot of time in crypto over the previous couple of years, and told my dad I was going to be dropping out, and he said, "You can't catch the wave if you're not in the water," and I like that, right? If there's cool shit and you see it coming, like, get involved, go after it.
Love it. I love it, man. Definitely going to take that one back because I think it's so important to find what's fun, but at the same time work, but at the same time understand what the hustle is, right? Grind it, hustle, have the discipline, have the consistency. And again, understand that it doesn't happen overnight. I think a lot of what we always build takes time, and it takes time to perfect it. Sometimes I think Web3 gives us this overnight 10x, 100x returns that kind of set this wrong tone to what it really takes to build. A lot of people expect it, magic, boom, it's supposed to be there. But as you know, good games take a long time to build. Platforms take a long time to build. Anything in Web3 that's technology based takes a lot of good time to build. So I thought it was a perfect way to segue into GUNZ, this platform that we've been hearing quite some time about. We've all kind of understood what blockchain is and what it could do. But right now, it's now really defining why a platform like this is very much needed in gaming, especially with off the grid. It's been showing us right now exactly why the mindset that came into why the Gun by Guns platform was to be existed, from the wallet, from the integration of being able to itemize, take the marketplace, power the marketplace. Look, we've talked about it so many times. We've heard about it so many different times, but actually to finally be able to see it is something that talk is cheap, walk the walk. And here we are being able to walk the walk. Piers, I'll kick it off to you first, right? Look, this Web3 stack, it's kind of like inevitable. Almost, we've always said Web3 gaming is inevitable. But why is a platform right now even more so inevitable to be built? Why hasn't it been built? What has been what's been holding back gaming from actually being on chain, right? 90% of the Web3 games are not really even on chain, right? They say they're on a chain, but it's like, what does that really mean? You're just playing right now with it without having a true meaning of being on chain. Here it is off the grid, and the numbers speak for itself on what's been on chain and how it's working. Love to hear your take on exactly what it means to have a platform like this right now, given the momentum.
Yeah, well, there's a few pieces in there. I think firstly, like, stepping back, like, why hasn't, on-chain experience like meaningfully entered the arena? Why hasn't gaming sort of shifted there yet? I think very simply, like, we haven't really seen the product proof points yet, right? I mean, obviously we've seen some of the bigger publishers. We've seen people like Ubisoft were here from super early on trying things, but were perhaps not handled optimally, had a bunch of backlash, and kind of served as anti-proof points, if you like, early on for people with existing user bases where they felt like a disincentive to make the leap and don't want to be the tip of the spear because of audience backlash. And then from people that are coming like within inside our industry, I think, the reality of game design and feedback loops is that it takes a long time to deliver good products. And even when you deliver strong products, right? Then comes marketing, growth, live ops, all of this stuff. It's incredibly challenging to actually build an enduring game. And like, let's obviously not neglect the fact that the games industry outside of crypto itself is facing its own kind of headwinds, right? There's been a lot of challenges there. I think it's an incredibly difficult time for the industry broadly. We had like 10, 15 golden years of, tons of bloat and AAA budgets and all these production timelines and all this kind of stuff, all competing for like, a fixed pie of player hours. Like the reality is it's harder than ever to actually break out. And so not only is it a case of like us not having delivered these products yet that actually really validate this stuff, but even when you do, right, there's a lot of hard things that come with that too. And then the second thing I'd say is just that, the technology aspect of this, of like building the infrastructure that can facilitate it, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's only a pretty small part of the equation to my mind, right? Like at the end of the day, it's all about distribution to begin with. We have tons of infinitely scalable, highly performant chains out there that have been preaching this stuff from the hilltops since 2020 and 2021, right? Like the technology is largely commoditized in terms of the back-end scaling infrastructure and things like that. Building distribution, both from a brand awareness, user acquisition channels, but also, the regulatory setup, the legal setup, like building things that are compliant with platform guidelines, with payment processes, like being able to both, attract the user base to begin with a killer product and actually funnel them through compliant, well-oiled rails. Like, that's a huge part of the challenge, right? And I think like during the OTG launch in October last year, we saw the sort of holy shit moment with a lot of these streamers, right? We had Shroud come in and be like, this is just like Steam Marketplace, except it's fully transparent, right? It's a cheaper marketplace technology. He said, I'm kind of surprised no one's done this already, right? And all the other streamers are saying, it's just like Diablo Auction House. Like this stuff is actually very intuitive. And when people see it packaged in a killer experience where it's not front and center, it's not in their face, then I think it clicks pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm excited for the road ahead. I'm excited for OTG to be sort of the flagship pioneering this stuff out of in terms of games that have come out of this space.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it on the money, exactly where it should be and where we're going, especially with, look, the hard part was building the game. Then the hard part was building the actual chain. And we've been hearing it from 2020, 2021, all these things that crypto can essentially do. And now finally, I think 2025, the light at the end of the tunnel is finally starting to be seen, with a lot of things coming to be able to have fully developed products. And here is GUNZ, right? Vlad, I turn it over to you. You have a rich history in finance as well. You've understood pain points in paying systems, in payment rails. You've understood really how a lot of this stuff needs to work. I mean, you've even built something before coming into this sphere of, hey, how do I develop better ways of payment systems to pay in the Web2 side of things? Web3 in gaming, you've quickly been able to identify that, and that's why Gun by GUNZ is here, right? What's the thing right now in gaming that you're seeing that is still a pain point you are solving right now with a platform like Gun by GUNZ?
Yeah, we'd love to answer this question. And I left fintech industry right now more than I guess 8 years ago. But still, the first thing which comes up to my mind, the only word which has the closest connection between fintech and Gun by GUNZ, I would say this word is regulatory. Because any person who is involved in the creation of any payment system, in operations of different banks, knows how regulated this industry is, and that it's basically impossible to operate in this industry if you violate any regulatory in any region. This is why we set up for ourselves a name. Everything which you're seeing in Gun by GUNZ, by the way, this is the name of our website and our platform, GUNZ. This is the essence of us solving our own problems, our own challenges, when we brought a AAA shooter, which was designed to onboard 100 million users within the first year after the launch, and marry it with Web3 economy. So everything what any game developer may need in this journey, you can find in GUNZ. And I totally agree with Pierce that today I'm not able to say that tech is the main issue. There are several amazing technologies on the market, which some of them have, so many of them have higher TPS than, for example, some of some of our services can produce short term, right? They have different stack of technologies which may integrate easier or something. But from our point of view, there is no service which any other blockchain for games can offer, which can allow a AAA game developer like Ubisoft, like Rockstar Games, to start providing Web3 economy products inside of their games right away, and without building the regulatory framework for such launches for years. This is where we invest our time. We invested years of our work to build this framework, which allows us to operate across all major regions in the world. Of course, following the regulatory, we do not provide our services in any countries which are under sanctions or other limitations. This is the problem which we are solving for AAA game developers like we are, like Gonzilla Games. And as I mentioned during our previous sessions, we truly believe that the feature which we're, let's say, promoting with GUNZ, the on-chain economy, an option to participate for players to participate in the future of progression of the game they so much love. Previously it was a dream that it will affect our metrics and have a great impact on all core metrics of our product. But now it's a reality in which we live. We see that we made it, that it works, and that people need it. And it was verified with the success of OTG. And as you know, we're still rolling out several additional features which are coming, which will go live in coming days. Like, for example, our official launch of OTG on Steam, and official launch an option to withdraw your in-game items from OTG to NFT marketplaces like OpenSea. We're still completing this closest milestones, and the beauty of all these achievements that after we complete this integrations, after we officially launch the services, it means that any AAA game developer which has to follow all the modern regulatory which is required worldwide, can instantly launch the same solutions using GUNZ. This is why we're here.
Yeah, I think that's just the biggest elephant in the room, right? Is regulation. Understanding regulation is something that I think worldwide is something that is always a concern, right? Between the United States and their regulatory compliance that you have to kind of go through. But again, you have Europe, Asia, everywhere around the world. But I believe that when you look at crypto and you looked at blockchain, you looked at what it actually could do and what the future can hold, and you looked at gaming and you look at gaming's core issues as well, right? Tournaments, payment tournaments, the transparency of Counter-Strike that someone as well as mentioned before. I know that I have friends that till to this day it's like, Jorge, go on this like link that I don't know what it is, but you just buy it from there. And I'm like, dude, are we just like sending money to someone that we don't know what's going to happen? And it's like, yeah, you hope for the best. And so, this blockchain here that has what Piers was mentioning, the transparency, but also being able to facilitate something that could give the experience and quicker give experience, because I think that's just something that's not talked about as well, as the speed at what the marketplace can be able to do, to be able to hop in a game, hop out of the game, say, hey, I need this gun, hey, I need this skin, let me quickly go in the marketplace, plug in, plug out, you're back in the game within like 45 seconds to a minute maybe. And so those are things that are just bringing a gaming experience to another level, right? Those are giving people the ability to retain in a game. Retention is always one of those questions that, how do you retain them? And they're like, well, yeah, the game loop. Yeah, there's game loop. Sure, that could be one thing. But there's another component to game loop that is not talked about game. And here we are talking about gun by guns, because that is another way to retain a gamer as they buy and transfer marketplace, as they want to buy and spend more in the game itself. And I think as you start understanding the hex decoding and how much that costs, you start opening up Pandora's box that allows them to be able to keep going. But when you start looking at compliance, when you start looking at this, you guys have already been at the forefront of being able to look at that. And I think that's the experience that you're bringing, the resume you have previously to Gunzilla Games, that you understand what is needed for this to happen. With that said, going into the mainstream, scaling into mainstream, how does the mindset, how does this work now? How does this facilitate for the gamer itself to be able to go and say, hey, someone like Piers, say in Europe, and say Jorge here in America, to say, hey, I'll send you one gun, I'll send you, the in-game currency, like go buy the skin, go get involved. Hey, let's have a tournament that anybody could participate and get paid in the same currency and not have to worry about, hey, I have to transfer it to your bank. It's going to take 3 to 5 business days. The intermediary bank's going to take their fee. Like all these things that happen currently in Web 2, Gun by Guns is solving, man, the Pandora's box. What's your thoughts right now with that? How do you guys keep seeing compliance? How do you overcome compliance?
During your speech, I had so many flashbacks about problems which we've been solving for ourselves since we launched GUNZ. And for us, it was so important after we launched OTG to launch the token, because we actually struggled a lot without being able to provide the functionality, the full functionality which we committed to deliver to our community. So, of course, on a daily basis, Web3 functionality and community-driven economy, which I mentioned many times, as I told you previously, affects lots of metrics and also resolves lots of issues. But there is something what everyone should remember, right? When they develop any Web3 game, right? That you have 2 different paths in this industry, in crypto industry, let's say. You can create a Ponzi scheme game, right? Which will evolve and survive only based on the new fresh blood, which is going, by new fresh blood, I mean, of course, new users, right? Which are going to be attracted and become a part of this one big Ponzi scheme or one pyramid, right? Which will continue, let's say, funding the project, paying salaries, paying the marketing, right? Or there is another path, and I just want to say right away that we see no other path than the one which I'm talking about right now, is making a financially successful product where Web3 components plays a significant role in making it even more successful. That's what we personally believe in, right? This is the environment in which we operate, and this second path, which is the only legit path in which Gunzilla Games and myself, and I believe our partners who supported us and who have been supporting us since the creation of this company, believe in, based on number of rules which the company which operates in this field needs to follow. For example, right, you are not able to abuse the in-game economy by you cannot abuse it by trying to send suspiciously owned or obtained cryptocurrency into the game, right? This is why we have a service which checks each transaction which arrives into our game or into any other games built on GUNZ. And if this transaction is suspicious or, for example, it exceeds the amount which can be sent into the game in specific country by a specific user, we require users to complete the KYC procedure. Some people may think, oh, it's not crypto native, whereas I want to be anonymous. I want the service to be fully decentralized. But I think that our mission is to find the perfect spot which will work for our users, where they will always feel that in-game assets which they own, nobody can take it from them. They can trade it. They can send it to use it with any purpose. Maybe they can get use this in-game asset as a collateral for a loan, whatever they can do with it, whatever we want, right? And we cannot affect this activity. While we're here to operate a massive business with millions of users worldwide, paying customers, which cannot have any damage from providing anonymous activity for users who do not want to follow regulatory in different countries. So yeah, I hope I'm answering your question with providing this clarity that it's so important to find this perfect spot which will work for both. As for builders who are building games using blockchain, and of course for users who are enjoying using this technology in our products and in products of other companies who are building on GUNZ. Maybe Piers has something to add, but
no, I think that the best way to like define what you just said is like, and I know Piers, you actually wrote an article on this as well, but the challenges for the bigger games is capturing attention, and that's through like the enhancements of what the game could have. And what you just mentioned is you are enhancing the gamer by having these extra, if you want to call it, or blockchain needs or wants that there is to gamers to give them that exact challenge that they are facing in Web 2 and solving that challenge through the GUNZ by GUNZ platform. And so I think that is like a perfect way to as well, like Piers, this article that you had put out, you had talked about the on-chain economy of OTG and what it exactly it unlocks. And we just heard Vlad even give us his take on exactly how the compliance aspect of it. But beyond compliance, the challenges that a lot of Web2 games face, we are now here once again solving that, and OTG is solving that. But in the article you wrote, you wanted to expose these ideas. You wanted to be more elaborate about the ideas. What's the actual thing there that you think is still very much not understood from the article that you wrote to gamers, investors? As anybody now, I think that, like, for me, it's like you could be on the sidelines and still participate in GUNZ and not play the game, or you could be a gamer and participate as a gamer. It gives them that two options. It gives people that ability to get involved in gaming in ways that they haven't been able to if they're not a great gamer, a good gamer, or get good is what they should be doing. But Piers, love to get your take on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like at the high level view, that I feel like people don't still massively appreciate is just like, yeah, like zooming out a bit and looking at the trends towards sort of digital ownership and the scale of sort of virtual goods economies, right? Like you look at the rate of growth and the explosion of like, like the $80 billion a year or whatever it is that gets spent on, in-game cosmetics, skins, all of these kind of things. you know, all of the aspects that have driven the concept of like, you know, luxury goods markets historically, all of the sort of social signaling of wanting to buy a nice watch or a nice handbag or whatever it might be, like, I still firmly believe that all of these things are like just as important, if not amplified by the digital arena, right? I think the idea of being able to wear something in your profile, which signals that at a much greater scale to not just the people in your immediate vicinity, like at a dinner party or whatever, but actually, you know, anyone that comes across your profile online. I think that trend's just only going to continue as this like younger generation, Gen Alpha, Gen X, whatever you want to call it, are growing up and just having that be the sort of default go-to. And I think, like, what is the next key unlock that's really going to drive that shit even bigger, right? And to my mind, it's this concept of, yeah, the sort of digital history that comes with on-chain ownership, the provenance that comes with that, right? I always like to use the example of like, you know, some famous football game, like a World Cup final. How much is the winning goal scorer's shirt from that match worth, right? Some famous boxing fight, like the pair of boxing gloves that we used in the final knockout, like how much is that worth, right? These things have social significance, and there's never been any way to capture that in the digital environment. And so, like, I'm deeply excited by some of the ideas that, you know, Vlad and I have discussed and the team are looking at implementing around really lean into this idea of like, yeah, digital histories, item provenance, like, you know, the dude that used the gun to tip the balance in the finals of the OTG World Championships or whatever. Like, it's cool to be able to own that shit. And it's not as bland and like one dimensional as just like, oh, saying, oh, I have a signature that shows I owned this person's gun that, you know, was the winning shot. Like, you can start doing all sorts of interesting things, from building like kill death ratios into individual weapons, or let's say it was some crazy like 1v1 in the final of a game, like actually embedding like the sound of the opposition's mic, like clipping their audio when they get killed in the final and be like, oh fuck, I just got smoked. Like, you know, that kind of shit is really cool. And I think it's a massively underexplored design environment. And I think the next piece that I think people need to sort of like, yeah, kind of have hammered home more is just that, like, the thrill of true risk and true loss in games is what makes them incredibly enjoyable, right? Like, you know, obviously when you're in a late stage game where you're playing with all of your buddies, like, it's very high intensity anyway, because it feels like lots is on the line, right? You could glimpse that glory if you manage to clutch this game. But I love the idea of working towards building these more hardcore or ranked modes eventually, right? Where basically people can stake loot to either stake tokens or stake weapons to actually compete in ranked tournaments. And, you know, whatever loadout you call in, let's say, is actually lost unless you win the game. Like, I love that idea of introducing more risk and higher stakes to game worlds. And I really think that's going to be like, in this age of, you know, attention scarcity and really struggling to retain people, I think the next big leg up in terms of like dopamine drivers and levers is, yeah, the thrill of risk and like real risk and real reward in games. I think that's something super exciting. So yeah, for me, it's all of those pieces combined, right? Appreciating the broad trajectory towards where virtual goods are going, understanding that doing the stuff on chain can drive a much higher value ceiling because these things have more value, more permanence, more provenance, right? You can feasibly talk about building a, you know, game collectible collection that you pass on to your kids or something. And then, yeah, the sort of like thrill of risk and real reward around shooter games, I think, is something that's super exciting. And we already have data on that stuff, right? Like, there are all of these wagering platforms where you can do 1v1s and gunfights in Call of Duty, and there's a like crappy third-party site that you don't know if you're going to get scammed through. Like, man, doing all of that stuff through a smart contract that you just one click logged in, zero platform risk, like, that's totally the future of where shooter games are going, I think. And I think, yeah, Gunzilla is like best positioned to actually execute on that earliest. Hey, this isn't even alpha. Like, Vlad hasn't committed to this shit at all. I'm just, you know, we're spitballing here.
Because actually, we are, you know, that we were committed to already official, and we you know, we're planning to deliver it pretty soon. An ability for players to track the history, and again, we haven't revealed it publicly yet, and it will be, again, it's a great spot to do it now. So our users will be able to track the history of each specific weapon. So imagine that you will be able to buy a weapon in OTG. From which, for example, Shroud made, I don't know, 100 headshots, and you can see that this weapon used to belong to him, right? And or other celebrities, or used to belong to certain clan members. So again, it's an ability to track this information on chain and verify it on chain. This is something what creates the value. And as Pierce mentioned, and as he mentioned in his amazing reports, by the way, I think they are the best in the again in Web3 industry. That the cumulative value of assets, of in-game assets, which players are going to own in OTG in several years, we believe will be worth of billions of dollars. And this is something where such industry leaders as Valve with their CS:GO game and with their store, this is this is something where they're pushing forward the industry, but unfortunately, it's not on chain, and lots of users we know struggle a lot from blocked accounts, from fraud activities made by third party, not verified resellers of in-game items. We're solving this problem with on-chain transparency, security powered by GUNZ. And again, we're super excited to start providing the same opportunity for the whole Solana community, which will be able to use GUN tokens minted on Solana starting from tomorrow for all of the accounts which are already which were already migrated to mainnet of GUNZ starting from tomorrow. And we truly believe that in future, probably somehow like today, users are or regular people that are buying shares of different companies, right? Using simple services like Robinhood to invest in companies' stocks, right? One day, the same regular people who even do not play full-time games, right, or who are not 100% into crypto, they will be able to buy in-game items as easy as they can buy stocks today with one click, which they're going to own. And these in-game items will represent the same huge industry as the stocks market today. And it's already, Pierce, I think that you can add some color about, again, mentioning CSGO, marketplace that where lots of even investors already invest in these items because they show a perfect ROI if we track it from year to year.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I shared some stuff yesterday just on the actual scale of like, the CSGO skins market is at like a $5 billion market cap now, with all the skins traded. And like, as of 2023, when we dropped a report, it was $32 billion of secondary market volume in like a 5-year period, which is pretty insane, right? This is a single game, obviously one of the biggest shooters, but I think we're going to see much more of this to come in the coming decades.
Yeah, I think like one thing that you guys just even are talking about is great, but there's actually like another side that I'm like I'll share is that as a gamer, right? And you mentioned stocks, you start like mentioning buying into corporations, businesses, and you start thinking about like what GUNZ is actually doing right now is that it also is giving gamers the ability to own, earn, whatever it is within the game to be able to be part of that company as well. And so like, it was almost like, imagine me playing FIFA when back in 2004, 2002, when like if I was able to get stock options or stock in the game instead of getting like the in-game currency that's probably worthless now because now we're on 2025, man, wow, we just redefined a way to give back to gamers even further. Like time is value, and that's something that we've always said in everything in industries. But what about time in gaming, right? Now the value in gaming is giving us another ability, another open door that anybody as a gamer, by putting in time, by being able to earn within the game, however that looks. Hey, I don't need to cash out. I just want to hold it because I believe in the long-term mission that Gun by GUNZ is building. Wow, now you gave them that ability to say, hey, I'm able to buy into that stock of that company all through just playing video games. That's also redefining, because now you start looking at what the world looks like. And you look at Vietnam, you look at like Philippines, you look at Latin markets where, you know, the difference in the demographics, where being able to play a game, give back to the gamer, and being able to hold and say, hey, I have a longer term trajectory on where this is going at, as we're still all building. Man, can this be of value in a year? And holy crap, we just unlocked another Pandora's box. So really, I think that was a really cool take there from you guys. I know we're coming right up at the 40-minute mark, and I know that we're short here on 40 minutes. I wanted to kind of close out with, look, I think that, you know, it's pretty pivotal tomorrow as well, being on Solana, being on AVAX. I think both chains right now are really helping games. I think are really redefining a way that blockchain is supposed to be working with consumer goods. And I think that right now, as it's developed, as we're developing as well, it's very, very important to also be able to have different ways for the token to have a bridge or a swap or whatever that looks like. Tomorrow with the Solana skin, the Solana drop, it's a really cool skin too as well. That one that I'm actually really excited of as well. But that also now is going to open up the door to say, hey, how should games now be looking at to be able to offer skins, content packs through a platform like Gun by Guns, and even maybe start knocking on the door of Gun by Guns to say, this is something we should explore, to work with, and say, hey, how do we use your tech that you've created to give the same ability that you gave all those OTG players, the ability that you're giving now? With that said, tomorrow's a pretty big day, right? We talked about that itself. What's one thing right now, Vlad, on the cook sheet, on in the boil room or the war room that's behind you guys, that you guys are delivering here? What's one message that really wants to resonate to those that are gonna be looking to enter for the first time into OTG through Solana? What's one message that you have for them right now?
Guys, I promise that you're gonna have fun and you're gonna enjoy the game a lot. Whatever you played Battle Royales or not before, whatever you enjoyed shooters before or not, I promise that you will find first amazing friends in this game who will become your friends, real friends in real life. And I think that Piers can verify these words, right? That he met lots of amazing people in OTG with whom he communicates. I mean, not daily, but a lot. You will enjoy lots of in-game moments, which you will remember forever, and will be sharing a story with your kids. That's what I promise as well. And remember that any product in the world should serve certain needs of users, right? It should serve needs. And we believe that by trying out OTG, using ours, again, the stack which will activate with Solana tomorrow, you will enjoy this time very much and become a little bit more satisfied than you were the day before. So just enjoy the moment, and I'm sure you will be satisfied.
And Vlad, maybe one day, you know, you'll jump in with us, and hey, that weapon that you use might be able to have some value, and we'll, like Pierre said, the football winning championship jersey, the boxing gloves, that will all have of a value. Piers, you've have countless hours in the game. You're a pro gamer at this point. You know, there's a new community being onboarded tomorrow. What's that one message that you want to be able to give? Look, tech is really cool. It's going to be powering something, another part of this game. But what's that one message as a working in a VC, working in research, working in understanding more of consumers and gamers? What's that one message you want to send to them?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm very excited that I truly think this is it, you know? I mean, it's been years and years and years of excitement around this thesis of on-chain economies. It's been like billions of dollars invested across these various games. Like, I think we really have the product that I think is like going to move the needle in the battle royale space and the shooter space. And is the most credible candidate of like a, you know, consumer crypto breakout broadly. So get involved, try it. You know, lots of my friends back home that don't play religiously have jumped in and been absolutely loving it. If you've ever played Apex or Warzone, I think there's lots of elements that are going to resonate with you. And if you're a total noob, like Zay, one of my partners from Delphi, you know, he's pretty bewildered by shooter mechanics broadly, but even he's getting there with the new onboarding flows and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, strongly recommend checking it out. And super excited for this Solana expansion, and you know what's probably the strongest on-chain community of like US centric users. I think it's a strong crossover. So excited to see what comes.
Yeah, no. Go for it.
One small thing which I wanted to add, if you don't mind. You know, I just discussed with one of my partners at GUNZ, again, one of our closest supporters, and he actually asked me, "What do you think about the partnership, right, with Solana?" And I said that, you know, it's actually one of the biggest things which can be done, right, to increase the access to our token so fast, and again, obtain such a wide network of infrastructure which will be able to offer the access to our token. I genuinely super excited to see that GUN is spreading its presence. And I think that lots of our community members and even still do not understand how important this event is, because it's huge. And from my point of view, it's bigger than any other regular news in our industry. And we can't wait to invite so many new users and platforms which will feature GUN starting from tomorrow.
There you go, people. Thank you very much, Piers. Thank you, Vlad. You heard the messaging. You heard everything. One thing that I'll tell you guys, have patience, because, man, it's been 5 years in the making. There's so many things coming on this roadmap. Don't rush it. Let these guys do what they've done best, and that's build. Let the good product speak for itself, but be patient, because I know there's some really crazy updates. Piers, Vlad, I'll see you all in the game maybe tomorrow. Talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.